It's been 13 hours since RGVFC lost 2 points to San Antonio FC at the death. And is Wilmer Cabrera's seat on the hot seat? Let's discuss this in this little segment for Down in the Valley podcast. Hello everybody, my name is Edson Ochoa. I am one of the co-hosts of the Down in the Valley podcast, as well as the RGVFC beat reporter for the Striker Texas. And today, I'm gonna talk a little bit of what I thought about yesterday's South Texas derby at Toyota Field. I know last night I was very, very disappointed. I was very vocal on Twitter, expressing my frustrations about what I saw at the game last night, not only on a video that I uploaded to Twitter, but also on a Twitter space that I hosted, and a lot of fans from RGVFC, as well as fans from San Antonio FC. I want to give a huge shout out to Harry and Bob from the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, who joined us last night on that Twitter space. Like I said, it's been 13 hours, and I feel like I cooled down a little bit, and I want to talk about both the good things that I saw, as well as the bad things that I saw from the game. So for starters, coming into this match, I felt like, nah, RGVFC's got nothing to compete against San Antonio. I went in with a defeated attitude, I'm not gonna lie. In yesterday's match, RGVFC looked like a top team in the USL Championship. They totally nullified San Antonio's offense. They were able to create a lot of opportunities on San Antonio's goal, out on the wings. You had, especially out on the left side with Christian Pinzon and Akeem O'Connor-Ward. I think Harry said it best last night. They overloaded that wing and caught the San Antonio's fullbacks off guard when they were trying to come back in transition, and it proved very effective for RGVFC in the 30-some minute, like in the middle of the first half. The opening goal for the match comes off of a corner kick in the 34th minute from Akeem O'Connor-Ward. He finds Christian Pinzon at the outside of the box. I have to say, the pass executed to perfection. Christian Pinzon receives the ball, cuts inside, takes the shot, gets a deflection from one of San Antonio's defenders. Jordan Farr is unable to react. He gets a touch to it, but he's unable to deflect it enough to avoid it going into the net. And that was the opening goal for RGVFC. Now, we talked about how RGVFC, it felt like once they scored a goal, it felt like the other team reacted and was able to, and they were able to limit themselves, kind of hold back and try to defend that 1-0 lead. In this time, however, against San Antonio, RGVFC smelled blood and they were going in for the attack. 2 minutes later, RGVFC gets the second goal, and this was a run by Akeem O'Connor-Ward out on the left flank. Now, I don't know, and this is up to debate. Was Akeem O'Connor-Ward going for the cross, or was he going for the shot? RGV had a 2-0 lead, by the 36th minute, completely shocking and shutting up Toyota Field, which was surprising. RGVFC held on for the rest of the first half. They were able to keep San Antonio scoreless. Not only did they keep San Antonio scoreless, but they drew San Antonio completely insane. They had no idea what to do. They were completely shocked. They were completely stunned. right? They had loss of orientation. They didn't know what to do. They kept on fouling. The referee, because of those fouls, kept showing yellow cards over to the San Antonio players. They spent more time arguing against the ref and trying to cause, fouls against RGVFC than actually trying to play a little bit of soccer. So RGV had done a great job in that first half. They really looked like a top team. They made San Antonio look stupid. They looked foolish out there. Alan Marcina had no idea what to do. Come the second half, San Antonio FC made some substitutions. They brought in Christian Perano, and you knew right off the bat what kind of firepower, he was going to bring into the table. Now, he's not a striker. He's more of a central attacking midfielder than number 10, per se. So you knew he was going to be trouble. You saw Alan Marcina moving his pieces around to try to get more danger instead of bunching strikers up on top. He was able to kind of create an avenue, or at least that was his intention, try to create an avenue in the midfield to distribute to those strikers like Austin. See, I always do that. I always confuse Justin Dillon and Tyler Derrick with similarly named NASCAR drivers, Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon. Anyway, that's kind of, what's funny though, is that both of them are actually on the same team on RCR, Richard Childress Racing. Where I was going, right? There was going to be some distribution over to the strikers, Justin Dillon and Elliot Collier. However, RGVFC continued to be dangerous up on top. In the 46th minute, granted this was a minute after the second half whistle, Jonas Gjelberg had an opportunity off of an outstanding pass by Emilio Icaza that completely sliced through flew over the San Antonio back line to find Jonas Gjelberg, completely unmarked towards the right side of the goal. And Jonas Gjelberg takes a driven shot towards the base of the far post. Unfortunately, the angle which hit the post was not enough to deflect the ball into the net. Instead, it deflects back onto the field of play and towards the chest of Jordan Farr, who was already beat from the initial shot. So it was kind of lucky for Jordan Farr that the ball managed to get back to where he was and where he was able to grab onto it and deny RGVFC a third goal. A couple minutes later, in the 53rd minute, RGVFC was arguably denied a goal. But this time it wasn't Jordan Farr or the post that denied RGVFC a goal. It was the referees. And let's be honest here. There was no way that there was an offsides from Eric Pimentel to deny RGVFC the third goal of the night. There's no way. Granted, the shoddy production of the broadcast on ESPN Plus didn't give us a camera angle that tells us if Eric Pimentel was offsides at the moment Gringo Torres struck the free kick. You see that there's a defender behind Eric Pimentel right as the camera changes towards the one that goes towards the field. So it's like, how is it possible that in less than a second, it's just so frustrating, right? Because that could have been game set match for RGVFC. Unfortunately, referee calls it back for offsides, and that gives a lifeline to San Antonio FC. And let's be honest, I think it demoralized RGVFC, because right after that goal that was called back, San Antonio FC grew. They kind of gained confidence and started to attack even more consistently against the Toros. Couple minutes later, Shannon Gomez, gets the first goal for San Antonio FC. It's a cross that is deflected, I believe, by Justin Dillon, and it lands towards Shannon Gomez, who was marked by Akeem O'Connor-Ward. Now here's the thing, and this is what kind of flared me up yesterday as I was watching the match. Akeem O'Connor-Ward is supposed to be marking Shannon Gomez, right? Now Shannon Gomez, when he receives the ball, he himself turns to his back towards the goal. Now as a defender, especially when you're inside the box, you're not supposed to let the attacker that you're marking, you're not supposed to give him space to be able to turn around towards the goal. You as a defender, you need to find a way to get on him, get close to him, get right behind him on his back, and don't allow him, like, don't grab him, don't hug him or anything. No, but just put yourself in a manner where it's gonna be uncomfortable for your attacker to turn around, and you're gonna force him to either pass the ball back or eventually maybe even lose the ball, and all right, the play is over, right? But Ward, he leaves a lot of space in between him and Shannon Gomez. Shannon Gomez easily turns around towards goal, takes the shot towards the far post. There was very little that Tyler Derrick could do. So some lazy defending right there from Akeem O'Connor-Ward. Obviously that gave a lot of motivation to San Antonio FC. So they kept on attacking, and they had some close calls, but either Tyler Derrick was able to get a save or the defenders were able to get some good clearances out of the way. Now, by almost the end of the second half, you could see that a lot of the players like Pinzon, like Gringo Torres, who had an amazing match defending and attacking. Jonathan Ricketts as well had a great game out there on the right flank defensively for the Toros. It was outstanding. A lot of these players, like, they were dead, like they were extremely tired. You know, when Pinzon and Gringo Torres were subbed out, like they could barely walk towards the bench of how tired they were. And I applaud them. I applaud them for that, because that's what we want to see from these Toros, the Toros that never gives up. But then the 94th minute, right? Of stoppage. You know, keep in mind that the referee calls for 6 additional minutes of stoppage time. San Antonio gets a free kick right outside the box off of a dumb foul by Wahab Akwe. You can't, you know, obviously the San Antonio player kind of sold it, kind of sold the little push. But if you know that San Antonio was going to do that, why are you putting yourself in a position where you allow the referee to call those kind of fouls? But anyway, San Antonio FC gets a free kick right outside the 18. And this is where the shit show happened. And forgive me for using the word, but it was a crap show. The referee and San Antonio FC's player, Mohamed Abu, were setting themselves up for a corner. All of a sudden, you start seeing a commotion out on the sideline. Wilmer Cabrera is trying to make a substitution when you're defending a free kick, a dangerous free kick in the last minutes of the match. Clearly, his intentions were to continue to burn the seconds of the match and try to hold on to the lead. But there's one key rule about substitutions that is mentioned a lot in professional soccer. Never make any substitutions when you're defending a set piece, whether it's a corner kick or a free kick. You don't want to make substitutions there because everybody has a designated player to mark. Now all of a sudden you have to bring in players and you're going to mess up the defensive positioning of that set piece. And that's exactly what happened in this case. Wilmer Cabrera wanted to make not one, 2 substitutions. 2 defensive substitutions when you're defending a set piece. Obviously, San Antonio FC was going to be bringing in their towers of defense, their Camiris, their Tainters. You bring in Frank Nadars and Luka Malasevic. Luka Malasevic is not tall, okay? Frank Nadarsi is tall. But where does Frank Nadarsi go? And this is a good point that one of our fans from the Stampede mentioned. Daniel Malacara, thank you so much for bringing this up on the Stampede chat. But this is something that he brought up. You knew that San Antonio FC, 90% of the free kicks, they weren't direct. They always went for a cross into the box to try to find those towers that I mentioned to head it into the goal. And yet you put your tallest player at the moment, or one of your tallest players in the moment when you bring him in, Frank Nadarsi, you put him on the wall. And you pretty much put Luka Milicevic in a position to guard out towards your right side of the field to guard Mitchell Tainter and I don't know who else, but there were tall players. Obviously, he was going to be at a height disadvantage. Why? In what sane mind, and I said it yesterday in the video, in what sane mind are you going to do that? In the end, Mitchell Tainter gets the goal, and San Antonio FC rescues a point at their home against RGVFC. Now, another point of discussion that was made last night is Wilmer in the hot seat. Now, I've mentioned in previous weeks on whether the Down in the Valley podcast or the Striker Texas podcast about me not having a big issue with Wilmer Cabrera, head coach, as much as I have an issue with Wilmer Cabrera, sporting director. But yesterday, for me at the moment, those dumb substitutions, the timing of the dumb substitutions that he made, as well as other times where he's made substitutions in the 80, like against Sacramento, he makes his first substitution, tactical substitution to be specific. He makes his first tactical substitution in the 85th minute. When throughout the previous minutes, your players were starting to get tired, right? The timing of the substitutions have been off for him. Other than that, I think tactically he's done a decent job. He's given us a base style of play. Is he overcommitted to it? Maybe, but he has given us an identity as a team on how to play, how to attack, how to defend. He's given us a solid defensive baseline. I mean, we looked at it and it's like the Toros are the 5th best defense in the USL Championship. They were actually the 3rd best overall in the USL Championship as far as expected goals against, which means that it's a team that limits the amount of goal scoring opportunities for the other team. Thank you, John Morrissey of USL Tactics, for giving us that tidbit of information. Yesterday was kind of like the thing where it flared me up. I think a lot of fans their patience has been running thin on Wilmer Cabrera as a head coach and as a sporting director. There's already people I've seen on social media that are calling for Wilmer to get sacked from his duties at RGVFC, both sporting director and head coach. Fact of the matter is, guys, the Toros are still in last place in the Western Conference. They have been unable to get good results. You can blame it on your strikers not being able to score, but it's also on the head coach. You know, if you're seeing that something doesn't work, you have to try to find an alternate formation, an alternate tactic that you can mold your players to hopefully make it work and score some goals. It seems the inclusion of Jonas Joberg kind of alleviated the issue. Also, the fact that you see players like Christian Pinzon and Akeem O'Connor-Ward trying to be a little bit more open to be able to take some shots from outside the box, which is always a good thing. There's something that kind of stood out for me yesterday, right? And this is something where I've criticized Wilmer as a general manager, okay? You have on the bench a striker, right? Adolfo Hernandez. How low or how underwhelming has Adolfo Hernandez been for the Toros that Wilmer Cabrera prefers to put in Robert Coronado as a striker or a false 9 than to put in Adolfo Hernandez? That's how unreliable he has been as a striker. And I think that says something. And I think that says something as to the mistake that Wilmer Cabrera made in scouting him and signing him for the Toros. Not only for those mistakes that he's making as a sporting director and as a head coach, but I think his stubbornness to admit that he has made mistake. He's very quick to blame everybody else. Whether it's the players, saying that they get stage fright, that they aren't able to replicate what they learned in practice, able to replicate it out on the field. He's even blamed Alonso Cantu ownership. He didn't outright name him, but between the lines, you could tell that he was criticizing his front office. He was criticizing ownership for not giving him a budget to sign, and I quote, the best guys in the USL Championship, and that this is what they had to deal with. This was the material that he had to work with to create a team. But he's never mentioned, as far as I recall, he has never said, oh, I messed up in this decision, I messed up in this decision. It seems like everybody else is at fault except for him. Now, is that good enough for him to get sacked? Maybe not. I do think that maybe Wilmer Cabrera is in here for the long run. He is trying to establish a process, a long-term process, which I think he has done good. I'd probably give him an 80-85 grade on that, because he, like I mentioned, he has left a good solid foundation to build up upon in the next couple of years. But Wilmer Cabrera really have to take a moment of self-reflection and see where he is wrong and what he can fix as a head coach to bring this team to a higher level than where they're currently at right now. As far as this season, honestly, I'm at a point where I'm willing to say that, I mean, this season is done and over with. Hopefully the players and the coaches, the coaching staff doesn't think the same, but I think I agree with the fans in saying that the season is done for. It's time to look forward to what 2023 brings. But these bad performances, I think it's starting to have the consequences of the fan base. They're starting to lose hope, and now there are a lot of people saying they're not going to renew their season tickets come 2023. So that's, I think, something that the front office really gonna have to take a good eye. And as fans, I think it's good that they're starting to voice their concerns on social media. And I think it's time also to reflect it on the stadium. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I know, like I said, I think it was a video I mentioned yesterday on a tweet that I let my fan side vent and speak yesterday on social media. Today I wanted to take things a little bit more calmly, allow my analytical side of myself to kind of analyze what happened yesterday, see the good from the team, because obviously this was, I think in the overall context, this was a good result. Going into Toyota Field and we able to get a point from arguably one of the best teams in the USL Championship. But at the same time, what the Toros need, it's not draws. They need 3 points. They need to go 3 by 3 by 3 if they want a chance to make it to the playoffs. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for making it this far into the video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like. Be sure to subscribe to the Down in the Valley podcast YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social media at Down in the RGV on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok. And be sure to click on that little bell and you will receive notifications for whenever we upload a video or whenever we go live, because as you can see, I think the studio is pretty much about ready for the live broadcast between Jacob and I on this YouTube channel. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. We're hoping to do a test run this week, and which will lead to a actual official debut of the studio for the month of September. But guys, thank you so much. We'll see you all in the next video. Take care, and you know what? Vamos Toros.